This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
Next on the 5 o'clock report.
I was actually in the tub praying and saying, Lord, don't let anybody be harmed.
There was enough fentanyl seized to kill 4.8 billion people.
It's just amazing how much these computers, these smartphones, these laptops, whatever, have gotten control of our lives.
Now, let's go to the newsroom.
Good afternoon and welcome to the broadcast. I'm Family Life News anchor Sarah Harnish. We got a little bit of everything out there today. A third of New York under flood watches. There's a bit of snow for western New York, and for all of us, wind. High wind warnings with gusts from 30 to 60 miles an hour depending on where you live. CBS meteorologist David Parkinson.
In terms of the wind threat with this storm, it is massive. There are over 100 million people under wind alerts today.
Louisiana got whacked by high winds last night.
I was actually in the tub praying and saying, Lord, don't let anybody be harmed. Don't let anybody lose their lives.
2 are dead there. Kevin has your forecast coming up in a few minutes. It was a zinger of a day at the White House, 12 hours after President Trump's first speech to Congress this term. This morning, Trump held a phone meeting with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau that did not go well on drug trafficking. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt was asked why Trump is fixated on Canada when most fentanyl is made by China and trafficked through the mail or through Mexico.
Through the northern border in Canada, last fiscal year alone, there was enough fentanyl seized to kill 4.8 billion people. And that number is up 2,050% from 2023, the year before. So there's been more than a 2,000% increase in illegal fentanyl seizure at the northern border. Why? Because Canada is allowing that fentanyl to come to the United States.
She says the concessions Canada offered today are not enough to save American lives.
The president sees these numbers. He thinks about the lives that are lost. And everybody in this room, I'm sure, everybody watching at home, everybody across the country knows someone in our lives who has been killed at the hands of this deadly poison. There needs to be repercussions for that. The president feels very strongly about it.
Fentanyl overdose is now the number one killer of young people in America, ages 18 to 34. Auto stocks are soaring this afternoon after President Trump offered a 30-day reprieve on Canadian and Mexican tariffs to American car makers so they can stockpile parts to make vehicles. Lancaster County, Pennsylvania auto shop owner Trevor Graham tells WGAL it's only going to buy some time. He says you will eventually see the price to repair your car go up.
Well, one of the problems is there is none of that steel stuff made here in the U.S., so it is all being shipped over. So again, with the tariffs, it will be raising the prices of that because we do not have those parts here in the U.S.
He talks about how it could impact a repair, such as a brake job.
A typical brake job could be normally $300 with replacing the brake rotors and pads. With an increase in that, you could see that being anywhere from $350 to $375, just depending on what those tariffs are.
White House spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt says the president still stands by his decision on tariffs and says they will bring in revenue, pay down debt, and create American jobs. Mayors of 3 sanctuary cities are testifying on Capitol Hill today. Boston Mayor Michelle Wu defended illegal immigration.
This federal administration is making hardworking, tax-paying, God-fearing residents afraid to live their lives. A city that's scared is not a city that's safe.
Chicago resident Kata Truss says her state has a $2.2 billion budget deficit because of the cash it's spending on health care alone for illegal immigrants.
The state has underestimated the amount of money that they've spent on migrant health care. When you look at the money that is being spent, we have to say that not only in Chicago, but in the state of Illinois, the people are not the priority.
Unusual adversary. Fox News got a bit feisty in the press room today at the White House, asking why President Trump is negotiating with Hamas.
Thank you, Caroline. If the U.S. has a longstanding policy that we do not negotiate with terrorists, then why is the U.S. now negotiating directly and for the first time ever with Hamas?
That's correspondent Peter Ducey. Levitt responded saying a special envoy has the authority to talk to anyone, and Israel was consulted first and consented. About face, Ukraine says talks about ending the war with Russia are back on the table. This after meeting with Europe. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer said this behind the scenes today.
We need to do everything we can to ensure that the US, Europe and Ukraine are working together on lasting peace. And I'm doing everything I can to play my part in regular contact with all of the key players, including talking to President Zelensky.
And it was a real-time miracle. A trio of fishermen are okay after they got the ride of their lives in a boat off the coast of New Zealand this week. An 11-foot-long, 900-pound bottlenose dolphin leapt into their boat.
Dolphin almost killed all three of us.
The mammal far too heavy for the three to lift, so they sprayed it with water to keep it alive until the New Zealand authorities could come with a tractor and put it safely back in the water. 1 minute, everything was just fine, and the next, there's a big dolphin in the boat, thrashing around, breaking everything. The creature snapped every fishing rod and whacked the fisherman on the arm. One said the dolphin got to swim away, and we got to walk away, and now we all have a story to tell. Still to come on the 5 o'clock report, 8,000 corrections officers still on strike in New York. Josh Shapiro has a job for you, and another loss for religious freedom in the Empire State in an appeals court. Those stories after a peek at what's going on with the storms with our own Kevin Williams.
Widespread showers and rumbles that start the evening will then diminish somewhat overnight, but there will be some localized flooding in low-lying and poorly drained areas. It'll be breezy at times. The daybreak temperature will be near 40. Blustery cold tomorrow. Any rain showers flip to snow showers and flurries, with temperatures dropping through the 30s into the 20s. Cold day Friday, clouds, sun, flurries, and high temperatures 30s and lower 40s.
Thank you, Kevin. Checking the stories, making news where you live across New York and Pennsylvania. Hundreds of corrections officers from across the Empire State rallied at the state capitol in Albany on Tuesday. Prison guards demanding safer working conditions. They took their grievances directly to the doorstep of Governor Hochul.
What we need is the governor to hear our voice. If she won't come to our house, we went to her house.
Governor Hochul reacting.
All the screaming and yelling here will have no effect on me. People can be as noisy as they want, but this is not making our state safer.
Strikes have ended at a handful of prisons, but 8,000 prison guards from across the Empire State remain on the picket lines. It's not just New York Governor Kathy Hochul who's trying to recruit laid-off federal workers for state jobs. Pennsylvania's governor is giving it a shot now, too. Last week, Governor Hochul announced the Your Hire drive, encouraging laid-off federal workers to apply for Empire State jobs. Today, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro announced he wants to recruit, quote, the most talented workers in the country.
These are folks who already have the necessary training and they know how to do these jobs well. They can step into one of our vacancies and be ready to serve on day one.
He signed an order for the Office of Administration to consider federal work experience at the same level as state experience.
And so I want to encourage them to apply for a job right now in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Back to New York, Amish families have lost a religious freedom case on vaccinations in an appeals court. Family Life's Mark Webster has the story.
The Second Circuit Court on Monday denied a religious challenge to New York's immunization law from 3 Amish schools and 2 Amish parents, saying both the appellate court and the U.S. Supreme Court have a history of upholding school immunization requirements implemented by states. The group sued, saying the law is intolerant of religious beliefs and restricts them from practicing basic tenets of the faith. The families say they will appeal to a higher court and are hopeful on the outcome. They are challenging a 2019 state law that yanked religious vaccine exemptions for every child in New York State. Mark Webster, Family Life News.
Southern Tier Congressman Nick Langworthy gave an exclusive interview to the Family Life News team today about White House efforts to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse from the federal government. The Republican representative applauds the work of DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency.
It wasn't until President Trump came into office and he deployed Doge to go and investigate across every department of the government, that we're finding these pockets of wasteful spending.
Doge plans to eliminate trillions in spending over the next couple of years. Langworthy says, have at it.
The important thing here is that we focus on getting the country on a better trajectory. We're $36.5 trillion in debt. It's not sustainable.
Langworthy adds the federal bureaucracy is bloated with nearly 2.5 million employees. And from the budget to the belly, some people will give up chocolate or pop over the next 40 days as an act of self-denial for the Lenten season. But here's another idea, cutting back on screen time and the use of mobile devices. Christian counselor Chris Anderson talks about digital fasting in today's edition of Real Answers. Let's listen in.
It's just amazing how much these computers, these smartphones, these laptops, whatever, have gotten control of our lives. And it's like, there really truly is a withdrawal from it too.
Yeah, it's I mean, we hear about, fentanyl and cocaine and all that. It's a lot of similarities. Scary.
Especially some of these social media platforms, they are programmed to create a craving response, believe it or not, very similar to what an external chemical might do. Because if you think about it, you post something on Facebook or on whatever social media platform you're on, and you can't wait to see who saw it, and you can't wait to see how many likes and loves and this. So you're sitting at your desk trying to be productive, honor God with your work, and then all of a sudden you find yourself checking to say, oh, I wonder how many people looked at that post. That's actually a chemical-driven response in the reward center of your brain that keeps you going back to that.
Guilty as charged. It's you post something, you got to go throw a picture up there, and you got to know. Now, even for those of us who predate smartphones and social media, it's getting hard to remember life without all of our electronic appendages, which are supposed to serve us, but as you mentioned, it feels more and more like it's the other way around.
Part of this is, what do I need to do to get to the point where I'm mindful again? Mindfulness just means I'm aware of the moment, I'm aware that I have a choice, and then actually making a choice that's overall better for you.
What can someone who decides to pull the plug for over a month here now expect when they come out on the other side?
Well, expect it initially when you first decide to do it. You're going to feel the pang. You're going to feel like, where's that phone? You're going to find yourself looking for your phone, looking for your laptop, but realize when you do that, that's a normal response to any habit that you're trying to cut out. So expect that it's not going to be easy right away. Make sure that you have a way of reminding yourself that you are doing this so that you don't habitually, again, pick up that phone and go on the internet or onto social media. Have other activities to replace it with, okay? Otherwise, you're going to sit there and be like, just thinking about getting on social media, and that's not going to be good either.
That's Christian counselor Chris Anderson. You can subscribe, listen to, and share Real Answers in all of Family Life's original podcasts at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or at familylife.org. Time next for tonight's market report, brought to you by Faithward Advisors. Wall Street is closing with stocks higher. At the final bell, the Dow Jones Industrial gained 485 points to 4306. The S&P 500 rose by 64 points to 5842, and the Nasdaq gained 267 points to 18552. Faithward Advisors is a Christian financial planning firm online at faithwardadvisors.com.
What are you doing with what God has given you? Hi, I'm Rob West with today's Faith and Finance Minute. In Matthew 25, Jesus tells the parable of the talents about a man who entrusts his possessions to 3 servants. 2 of them prove to be good stewards and return even more to the man than he had given them. The third, however, does nothing with what he's been entrusted. Now, this parable is about more than money. It's about everything God entrusts to us, including our natural abilities, intellect, relationships, and yes, our financial resources. The question for each of us is, how am I using what God has entrusted to me? Am I seeking to make the most of His gifts, or am I frittering them away? Ask God to help you be a faithful and productive steward. Discover the best Christian financial articles, podcasts, and videos by visiting our website, faithfi.com, or by downloading FaithFi, Faith and Finance from your app store.
Coming up on the 5 o'clock report, what would you do if you hit a massive pothole? How about shoving something excessively large into the hole to draw some attention? One man did just that in England, and you will not believe how fast that pothole got fixed. That story after weather with Kevin Williams.
Got the showers tonight, some rumbles of thunder for some early and breezy. Watch for some ponding on the roads. A little localized flooding where there's been some rain and snowmelt in particular. Temperatures at the evening hours may rise yet a bit, but then drop by daybreak. We're in the 30s and low 40s. Blustery cold tomorrow. Any rain showers flip to snow showers and flurries, with temperatures dropping through the 30s into the 20s. Cold day Friday, clouds, sun, flurries, high temperatures 30s and lower 40s.
Thank you, Kevin. Finally at 5, making lemons out of lemonade. Potholes drive most of us to a rage, but not James Coxall of Cambridgeshire, England. After dodging a whopper on a local road, he tells the CBC humor was the best way to draw attention to just how deep that pothole was. He built a realistic lower torso and put it upside down in the hole.
On the kitchen table, the kids helped. We drilled in some wood for the legs. Found an old pair of jeans, we put them on, stuffed it with some rags, and then we screwed a pair of their old shoes on top. And me, the wife and the kids put it in a pothole with a brick to sort of weigh it down a bit.
With surprising speed, just 4 days later and without a word, the village filled in the pothole after removing the torso. Now the pothole prankster says he's looking around for his next target, possibly a model of the Titanic sinking into the next whopper of a pothole. And that's the world that we live in for Wednesday, the 5th of March. I'm Sarah Harnish, and this is the 5 o'clock report on Family Life.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.